What's going on, everybody? ZHP 2004 here, and we are running D-Class Hopper and the Cosmo. Paint tonight is by FACR Red Bantha with tune by ETR Centenario. Names are at the top of the page. For reference, you guys can go check out some of their handiwork and other tunes. I'm going to start things off here at Indy. Not a terrible start. Things go okay through the first part of the track. A little coming together. It happens. As usual, it is Forza. D-Class, the handling's not always the best with the cars. They slide around. Really can't get tires on them. But that's what you get. So we're going to get up past the Miata here. We're going to cruise on down the back straight. Make up a couple positions, possibly, well, one, maybe two, before we come down here to the left-hander. And I ran this tune a lot. I didn't really run it in hoppers, which you can tell there I go and lock it up. And we still managed to squeeze through. We get a place out of it. I'm not sure if my clip of that guy caused him to go wide. I think he was starting to go wide already. Considering how hard he went into that turn. But not much else happened in this race, and we are going to finish it up here with a 5th place finish. And we're going to move on to the next race, which was at Watkins Glen. And I really like Watkins Glen. It's probably my favorite, or one of my favorite tracks in the game. Always good racing here. And it can be close. I like having close racing, as I'm sure most of you guys do. Now here's a really good rejoin. I went a little wide on the track, but find a spot, squeeze in, and we actually get up through the S's pretty clean. Not too much beating and banging here. But in these hoppers, you have grip cars, you have speed cars. In fact, there was a little Monte Carlo that came up into the picture there. Not sure if I might have pinched him a little bit, but he'll be back. Not a big deal. So we got somebody coming up here on our inside. Camaro. They're going to come around the long sweeping right-hander, touch a little bit, but we get away with it, and the guys up front are battling really hard. And we're going to go side by side down this short straight here towards the left-hander, and we're going to be joined by that Monte Carlo again. We're going to come into this corner, and everybody's going to hold their line, get through clean, and we're going to make our way down. And that Monty, he's still on my inside. I'm just going to give that spot. However, I'm going to concede another spot. So we kind of ran around back here pretty much the whole race. It was a good race. Got to watch a lot of battling up ahead. These guys, they were going at it pretty much the entire race from what I could see. We'll get past the Monte Carlo up through here in the S's. The car handles pretty good. Might not have the top end of a lot of the cars, but it's got a little more top end than most. So this tune I ran a couple weeks ago in a weekly HLC hot lap competition. Most of you guys, I'm sure, probably know that. But we're going to come back down here to the long right-hander and we'll just see what we can do. We're just going to hang on back here. You can see the battling is close. We have 4 guys right in front of us, pretty much nose to tail, side by side. And they're not beating and banging, pushing each other off. That's what I like to see. These guys, these racers have some respect for one another, even through here. I mean, they're 4 wide, and they get it all gathered up. Somebody checks up, I get on the brakes, and I kind of lose track of these guys from this point forward, and not much more really happened after that. I couldn't quite catch back up with them. I had decent pace, but really wasn't closing any kind of gap. Made up one place in one of the laps. But that was about it for Watkins Glen. Again, it's a track that I really like, and I will race it whenever I get a chance. 8th place, probably could have done better had I not had the checkup, but now here we are at Long Beach, and this is the short circuit. Not sure what's going on with that guy, if he has square tires on his car, but that was the problem for most of the race that I saw with his car. It would probably just lag. But this track I've kind of nicknamed for myself the washing machine, because it is just constant around and around, or merry-go-round with bumper cars. So 10 laps of this. I understand, you know, we need a certain amount of time for a race. We give everybody a chance to more or less get to the front, but a track like this, I ran this configuration a few weeks ago in S-Class, and I'll tell you what, this was a much cleaner race than that. I wish I could find the footage from the start of that race. Pretty much everybody just wound up in those tires to the left there at the start-finish at the first corner. It was just an absolute mess. It's a good thing we didn't have sim damage on. Nobody would have made it around the track at all. But we're going to run around here, and eventually we're going to have a back marker, and he should be showing up here rather shortly in the form of a very large Jeep, which I thought for the most part, I know Turn 10 Forza, they banned a lot of vehicles from online racing. In fact, there's that Jeep there. He's ghosted out. He's going to rejoin here and make things a little bit interesting. Apparently not all the vehicles I figured were banned. Apparently we got a little tap there, but I didn't spin out miraculously. I don't know how I didn't bounce off those tires and do a complete pirouette. The Jeep's going to go wide, so is the Miata. Going to get me the spot back, and we're going to run around here for a while. Not much for probably the next 3 laps or so. So we're going to cut to, second to last lap. I went way wide there. I can talk tonight. And give up 1 position. He goes wide again. I will sneak up. And I was so used to running my line, I think I just cut him off there. I will take the hit for that. I do go stout. And I'm going to lose 2 positions here, but more importantly, lo and behold, the Jeep's back. So we're going to wind up behind him here. And I'm going to make a mistake. I'm going to try to get past him. And that didn't work, so I go out to the line. And I figure he's going to go for the block, and he didn't, so I go up the inside, and he hits me. So at this point, I'm just like, we're just going to wait, and we're going to let him go. And typical, I guess you call it rammer dodging technique. You see that in a lot of other videos. So it works, but ultimately it didn't wind up being a very good race in the end. It's a very short track, but Homestead turned out to be another interesting race in the opposite direction. We do have another Jeep in this race. That Jeep is going to be showcased here in the very, very near future, probably right after this first corner, but for a completely different reason. I was so flabbergasted by him. I thought maybe he was a rammer. I went wide, hit the guy outside me. I let this guy go, and he just pulled away from me and pretty much everybody else in this race. So sometimes you have good racers in oddball vehicles, and again, if that's the case, maybe they should bring back some of the other vehicles. I mentioned in my original video about one of my favorite vehicles in the game, that being the Volkswagen Type 2 bus. If any of you guys have ran them in online or tuned them up to a specific class, you know how much fun they can be. And that's the main reason I built that one, was because it was fun. It was different. I really enjoyed it. I wasn't out, taking people out or things like that. And even some SUVs, I've had people, run the Safari SUV, the Jeeps. There was a guy in a Dodge Ram one night that was absolutely on point, podiumed almost every race he was in. So it's not necessarily the cars that are the problem. If there's going to be rammers, there's going to be rammers. If they're not in a big vehicle, they're going to find something else to use. So please turn 10 if you listen. Just bring back the banned vehicles. Let's have a little fun. So we're just going to keep running here. And that guy that I kind of pushed wide on the beginning of the first lap, he's back. I stick a little more inside here. Try and make sure I don't push wide on him. And we're just going to come up through here. And we're just going to keep running. And eventually he's going to come up here on this straight. He's got the power. I didn't think he had the brakes, but I was wrong. And I concede second place. Going to battle him a little bit here. Not a whole lot. He's got the acceleration on me. And that's really what it's going to take at a track like this. So that's more or less, we're going to keep in touch with him, not by a whole lot. And the race is pretty much going to wind up like this by the end of the final lap. So we will eventually here just skip forward to the end of the race. Again, not much more happened. There was really nobody else around me the entire race. So we just kind of finished up. Again, you can see on the map, people are close, but it's, you know, nobody, there's no challenges, there were really no battles, which unfortunately, I guess it kind of happens in the lower classes eventually. On a lot of the tracks with the tighter corners, the higher acceleration zones, that everybody gets way more spread out. And the final race is going to be at Silverstone. I've come to actually kind of like Silverstone. Again, there's the Jeep, and we're pulling on him coming into the first corner. Do my best to keep it narrow, and he's going to maintain first. I'm going to hold second here for a little bit. We'll see how long we can hold that for as we come down into the sharp right-hander, and well, there goes second place. And we might try to get it back here after we get up through these corners. I push a little wide coming out of the left-hander there. We're going to get onto the short straight here and open it up and see if we can't close that gap. We got somebody behind us that's trailing off, so we are closing up slightly. Not quite sure if it's going to be enough to really capitalize. No chance. Even the dive bomb of the century would not have pulled off any kind of move there. So we're just going to come through onto the double right-hander, I guess as I'll call it, onto the old main straight. Again, we got somebody on the inside here. We'll outrun them down into the sweeping right. And it was a good race. I like the D class, as I said before. It's demanding in a different way. You have to have, I don't want to say a different sense of car control. You have to be very smooth. But here we are. We're coming up to the end of the final lap. I've kept in touch with the top two. Never really got close enough to do anything with the top two. But we will finish this out with another third. So 2 third-place finishes, a couple eighths. I think there's a 5th place in there somewhere maybe. So, but all in all, it was a good night of racing. I enjoyed it for the most part, and that's going to pretty much do it for this video tonight, guys. So, again, like, subscribe, tell your friends, and we will catch you on the next one. See you around. Bye-bye.